Many ancient civilizations worshipped gods in the form of birds. Egyptians venerated the strength of Horus, and Greeks connected the owl of Athena with wisdom. The son of Ra came in the form of a duck, while numbers and magic were the domain of ibis-headed Thoth. Ancient Greeks told the story of Daedalus and Icarus, using the powers of flight as a metaphor for challenging humanity's limitations. Winged Nike was the goddess of speed, of strength, and victory, while Romans regarded the messenger Mercury as the inventor of all the arts. Today, we need to continue to embrace birds as an integral part of our world. East Africa alone has more than 1,300 bird species, each with its own story to tell. Through Todd Gustafson's lens and To the Ends of the Earth series, we have an unparalleled eye-level photographer's view of avian species with whom we share our delicate planet. We have so much in common and share so many of life's imperatives with birds. We all compete for mates and food. We raise families and provide for them. Some things we do for the sheer joy of it. Raptors, waders, waterbirds, and bushbirds all have a part in this story. Sharing the diversity and beauty of East African birds and focusing attention on the need for conservation-based coexistence goes hand in hand with creating a better way forward for humanity and the rest of the natural world. Celebrate the beauty of East Africa's bird life and get an intimate glimpse into the life stories of these dynamic avians through Todd's vision presented here in To the Ends of the Earth, Birds of East Africa. To give a perspective of how Todd's photographic vision and passion for wildlife began, Todd and his brother Brian returned to their roots in Magamba, Tanzania, to visit the school built by their father in the 1960s.
I'm going to go back to 1962 when Dad, as a 40-year-old with a family of 3 kids, somebody asked him to come and build a school in Tanzania, and he said, yeah, but building the school and being the headmaster, and being a biology, zoology teacher.
Exactly.
And raising a family. That's a challenge. I think right here is where I got my first love of nature. Growing up in the Usumbara Mountains at 7,000 feet, and as a small child, having this as my backyard. Mom and Dad were doing their thing, running the school, keeping house, and I could explore this beautiful rainforest. Inside it were colobus monkeys, chameleons, clouds of butterflies. It was an amazing place to be. Dad was the headmaster here, so when people came through looking for specific bird species, he would know where to find them. They'd come through and they would say, we need to find the Usumbara scops owl, or we need the Usumbara golden weaver, or where's the special, only in this area, 2-horned chameleon? And he knew where to get them, so he would send them on their way, but now I know where to find them.
How does a successful wildlife photographer make the choices of which species to shoot, which subjects to stop for, and which to pass by?
That is experiential. I mean, I do have a lot of birds in my mind. Some people may be calling me a bird brain, but I think I'm good with about 800 species here that I can just say, that's this is that. And hey, we ignore that because we've seen a gazillion, or we could expect to see them in a better situation. So when I see a pearl-spotted owlet, I know that we better stop. It's uncommon. It's beautiful. It has golden eyes, and in the back of its head, it has false eyes. It's just an interesting bird, as are many of them. So I know which ones I want to go for and which ones to kind of pass on. Each park is going to have its specialties. When you're looking at a park like Samburu in Kenya, you know you're going to have red-billed, yellow-billed, gray hornbills. You're going to find those and you're going to know their habits and their habitats. And you can drive by 50 of them because they're rooting around on the ground or they're buried in the trees. But I know in the afternoon they're going to pop up, some of them on a dead branch, and look around and maybe call a little bit. So that's when I start looking for hornbills. Not, oh, there's a hornbill, let's photograph them. There's a situation where the hornbill is beautifully photographable, and that's what I'll do there. Lake Manyara has groundwater forest. All the water coming off the escarpment makes this beautiful rainforest-like habitat. And so you got gray hornbills, crowned hornbills, ground hornbills, silver-cheeked hornbills, which are just spectacular. They like to be high in the trees. So if I see them high in the trees, I can say, there's a silver-cheeked hornbill, and drive on. If there's one down low, stop the vehicle and stop it like 10 feet ago so that we can approach it softly, quietly, and get in its zones and see if we can catch it doing some behaviors that we like.
Todd has developed techniques in his photographic approach that allow him to build on an intriguing, dynamic portfolio.
I always ask my drivers what their favorite subject is, and you'll get an idea of then how they look for subjects. I happen to like, I could consider myself an omnivore. I'm not just an animal photographer. It's not that only birds are what I like to photograph. If it's a beautiful subject, I'll go for it. Reptiles, mammals, scenery, flowers, plants, insects. I really like to photograph all of them well, and I use a similar style when I'm doing those different subjects. And I love birds, man. My brother and I have had this conversation many times. People go on safari. They want to see an elephant. They want to see a giraffe. They want to see lions. And some of them ignore the 1,300, depending on who's counting, species of birds that are here in Tanzania and Kenya. 1,300 species. And with that many phenomenal and interesting and infinite situations to photograph with birds, I mean, I'm ready anytime to do that. I like birds.
The soda lakes of the Great Rift Valley support myriad bird species. Among them are the strikingly beautiful flamingos of the Great Rift Valley lakes. Flamingos are an iconic global species that include East Africa's greater and lesser flamingos. When they gather in numbers, their behaviors are riveting, from flight, group mating dances, to rhythmic feeding, with the best photographic angle being at eye level. We begin our journey at Lake Natron, home to millions of greater and lesser flamingos. Flamingo populations are dependent on water levels, chemistry, and food supply. These two East African flamingo species court, nest, and raise chicks in the shallow, nutrient-rich waters of this remote lake. The pink and reddish colors of a flamingo's feathers come from eating pigments found in algae and invertebrates. Dense concentrations of birds tend to gather at hot springs where algae and invertebrates proliferate. Flamingos' beaks have evolved and adapted to what they eat. Lesser flamingos have what is called a deep-keeled bill. They mostly eat algae. Greater flamingos have a shallow-keeled bill, which allow them to eat insects, invertebrates, and small fish. Watch them feed. They stir up the bottom of the lake with their feet and dip their beaks into the mud and water to catch their meal. Flamingos gather in colonies or flocks. The colony protects each other from predators and keeps the young safe. A group of flamingos will mate at the same time, so that all of the chicks will hatch at the same time. The courtship dances are dramatic. They can start with a few bachelors and can grow to hundreds of birds, showing off as they march in step. Flamingos are monogamous. Once they mate, they tend to stay with that mate. The little grey chicks get their colours as they eat more and more krill and algae. The beauty of these elegant birds is multifaceted. Individually, their shape, feather textures, brilliant colours and gait are intriguing. In pairs and groups, their coordinated movements are reminiscent of a ballet. Flamingos in flight are equally dramatic. Singly and in groups, the legs, neck, and wing patterns are simply riveting. All of these factors go into the making of beautiful flamingo photographs. What can make a great scene explode with colour and texture is when a jackal stalks the flock, looking for a meal. Even more dramatic is a predatory dive from a raptor. In the Ngorongoro crater, the flamingo-filled lake is simply beautiful until a marsh harrier dives and the scene is turned into a whirling mass of pink wings. Of all the dynamic traits that birds possess, the one most universally envied is flight. Each species has a distinctive flight style, from gliding to swooping, to hovering, and everything in between. Out of all the photo subjects available in East Africa, how is it that Todd has such a rich, diverse portfolio of birds?
Birds are flitty, and what's difficult is when I was hiking last week along a stream, and there's an uncommon bird and tough to photograph. It's the African black duck. And they were coming to a pool where there was a cascading waterfall. And I thought, I can catch up to them in that pool because they'll have to stay because there's a waterfall. They got to the waterfall and they flew off, and I never saw them again. I forgot they can fly. So they can go from here to there in a heartbeat. But if you can establish some pattern of their habits, there's a giant kingfisher down in Lake Minyara that I know where he lives. I know where he likes to hunt. Every time I pass by that point, there's rocks and some green and some pools and some water. Then there's some trees that have nice limbs over the water, and he likes to hang out there. So if he's there, I'm ready. This is a place where we can see the giant kingfisher. We don't always see him here, but today it seems like there are two. I can hear him calling, and you hear a response. That was a nice turn of the head there. So at this point, we've positioned ourselves so that we're looking at the background. With the bird in it, he's in a bad angle and a position, but if he reshifts, we'll have a great background and a great subject. That is it. Oh, come on, right here, right here. He's on a new perch. Single branch, and there's nothing behind him. Yeah. It's a dead-on portrait of this beautiful kingfisher, full body, facing us. There's a beautiful green leaf behind him, a dead, dark green behind that, and his whole chest is showing. And every situation here has been different with the background. One was the water, then one was green. We had real dark green with a bright leaf, and now this is sort of a uniform forest green. That's a fat cat. Our first clue that there was a kill here was the number of hyenas that were in the long grass looking this way. I can hear hippos in the river, the Grumeti River. This is a hippo carcass here that's been killed by, it looked like 5 or 6 lions of the Grumeti pride. I've never seen a hippo kill, and you can only imagine the battle this must have been last night, where you have this massive hippo with the flashing teeth and 5 or 6 powerful lions, maybe a kilometer from the river. I can't even imagine. Right now we've got jackals doing their scavenging. That's a lot of meat for that little jackal. Yeah, with this hippo kill, there are 8,000 things happening at once. We've got all the vultures are coming in. We've got the Griffin's vulture, we've got hooded vultures, we've got white-backed vultures. There's the hyenas. We've got the jackals. Flight photography is tremendous. Another aspect to a kill is the final scavenger group, the vultures. And when they fly in, it can be spectacular flight photography. Oh, you hear the hissing when those white-backed vultures come in.
And the hyenas coming in.
Hyenas too, this is going to be a feast. Left. Now you can get the flight line. Here they come. There's just squadrons coming in. This is amazing, amazing. Oh, this is just great. With the wind angle, with the light, it's a great coordination for our photography. The goal here I like is when they flare just as they land and all their wing feathers show. Landing gear down. I've worked a lot with a long lens on this scene, trying to get individual birds and hyena faces. But to capture this scene as a full kill, I'm using a wider 80 to 200 millimeter lens. The wings are flapping. There's a tree in the left corner, a termite hill in the bottom. That's a well-organized kill. The obvious shot here is a pile of feathers. But what are you going to make of that? Sometimes one vulture will come up and be the king. Sometimes the hyena, oh look at that, vultures are just on top of each other. They're standing on each other. Oh, then when you get a hyena sticking its head up, taking ownership. This is how different things can be in the matter of an hour. This morning we had a hippo kill. And I mentioned at that point, this is an organized kill. It looks photographically elegant and a lot of action. Now, it's broken up. There are 3 parts of this hippo left over, and there's just scads of vultures everywhere. From that mess of birds and scavengers, I'm hoping for maybe 3 shots. I took a lot of shots, but I want wings that are well organized in some form around one of the hyena faces as a rock. I have a panoramic view that I did of the whole thing, and then some of the flight. All these vultures coming in spectacular light. It should be a nice thing for maybe 3 shots. Bee ears are well-defined, sharp, colorful. When they fly, their wings just go like this. And they always come back to the same perch. And as always, they often come back to the same perch. So you can be prepared when they fly off that they're going to come back here. They're searching for the bees, so you can get lots of different head positions. It's not like a bird in a tree that's sort of, asleep or roosting or just preening all the time. They're active, they're cute, they're colorful.
Oxpeckers are the quintessential cleanup bird. Their symbiotic relationship features a host animal who provides the oxpecker with parasitic insects to eat. In return, the animal gets a nice cleaning, keeping the oxpeckers fed and the animals healthy. Groups of oxpeckers descend on a hippopod for their self-appointed rounds. When the work is done, they leave as quickly as they came, looking for a new herd to clean. Oxpeckers aren't the only birds who provide this service. Certain shorebirds and waders get in on the action. It's common to see wattled starlings descend on a zebra herd for a meal and a free ride. Competition can be for nesting materials, food, a roosting spot, or a mate. Birds can have stunning courtship behaviors. African crowned cranes perform a nuptial dance to attract a mate who they stay with for life. In pairs and large groups, they call to strengthen their bond and stay in contact with each other. Kingfishers feed their mates, here a spider delicacy. Cory bustards puff air sacs in their necks, creating a visual signal to all females in the area. They use the air sacs to emit a low-frequency mating call that can be heard for miles. Oddly, ground hornbills mate and roost in trees. While flightless ostrich mate on the ground. Plovers lay eggs among small rocks and stones that allow the nest to blend with its surroundings. This beautiful little crowned plover protects her nest. As perceived threats come near her nest, she stands and spreads her wings in a defensive display. Bee-eaters make nests in hillside claybanks. Male ostriches incubate as many as 20 huge eggs in a communal nest, scraped and nestled into the soft earth. Secretary birds build nests together. They both gather sticks and fly back to the nest, executing a mating dance of intricate balletic bowing. Northern masked weavers build their nests in raucous colonies, following the short rains. Males select a branch and build a nest. When the job is done, they signal females by grooming and wing vibration. Females fly into the new nests. If the nest fails this inspection, the male either redecorates or starts a new one. Perhaps the most amazing nest is built by the hammerkop, named with the Afrikaans word describing the shape of its head. The nest is absolutely massive. An unexpected visitor gives an indication of the nest's size. This huge male leopard relaxes the day away as the hammerkop patiently waits his chance to re-enter the nest. The tiny chin-spot batis male and female build a nest together. The male uses water droplets trapped in his feathers to shape the delicate structure. They both add to the nest by carefully weaving together gossamer spider webs and forest lichens. What is it that could possibly make the impressive hammercop's nest, the intricate weaver bird's nest, or your house, or my house, more important to us than the tiny, carefully constructed bowl of gossamer and lichens are to the chin spot batis? Chicks hatch and parents nurture and teach them survival skills. Egyptian geese stay in tight formation as they swim and feed. Cultish crowned crane chicks follow their parents as they search for seeds and insects. The chick feeds on plants near the ground as the adult browses at head height. Yellow-billed stork fledglings gather in nurseries until their parents take them to acacia treetops for feeding and training. They feed on the soft, new acacia leaves and at the same time strengthen their wings as they struggle for balance. A community ostrich nest hatches and joins another set of hatchlings to form a nursery watched over by several adults. Chicks grow to adults who understand how to hunt, eat, and provide for themselves and their families.
They were doing Maasai burning. They were burning all the grass. And the bee eaters were staying right ahead of the fire because all the insects are staying ahead of the fire as well. There were thousands of bee eaters, and there were thousands of lilac-breasted rollers. And you can chase lilac-breasted rollers around and try and photograph them, or you can find one on the perch that you like. In this case, we went to the edge of the fire, and there were 1,000 lilac-breasted rollers. They were diving and, just swirling through the smoke and grabbing these grasshoppers and little creepy crawly things, and then they'd pop up on a branch and then pound them and then eat them. All we had to do was find the good perches. The birds came to us, and it was really quite spectacular. I love the translucence of this smoke. It gets really intense on the bottom, but then the sun's peeking through. You got the black trees and then green to the right where it hasn't burned. All these rollers are coming in. They're just eating all the insects as they fly in front of the fire, trying to escape.
The importance of dung beetles cannot be overstated. They hatch after the short rains and use elephant dung as nutrient-rich places to lay their eggs. Compacting these balls by rolling them across the plains distributes seeds and fertilizes the grasslands. Entire species depend on this hatching. White storks migrate from Europe to fatten up for the mating season. Lilac-breasted rollers, Eurasian rollers, and cory bustards all thrive during this season. One of the most voracious and efficient hunters on the plains is the ground hornbill. Families hunt in groups and will eat dung beetles, frogs, mice, crabs, or anything else that comes along. A prized photo is to get the perfectly executed toss. Waterbirds and waders spend their time in shallow waters, probing, prodding, and filtering for aquatic plants and insects. Elegant pied avocets often feed in pairs. Shovelers filter water through their wide bills. Spoonbills use similar filtering as they feed in the shallows. Pelicans patrol the waters using their unique pouched bills to scoop up fish. They often use cooperative hunting, a herding strategy to surround schools of fish. Egrets, herons, and these yellow-billed storks patrol reed-fringed shallows and Nile cabbage-choked lagoons for fish, insects, and frogs. The saddle-billed stork delicately rinses his beak after eating a frog. Another interesting shot is one of a yellow-billed stork drinking. Kingfishers' hunting style is similar to bee eaters. They have a favorite perch. Sight the prey, fly off, and return to the same perch with their prize. This malachite kingfisher isn't certain he likes the texture of the spider he just ate. There are as many variations on feeding as there are types of birds. Seed and fruit eaters browse areas where the food is ripe. Raptors are built to hunt with their sharp, powerful talons and their massive beaks. Owls hunt mice, voles, and other small mammals, keeping their populations in check. What a battle it must have been when this eagle owl hunted this genet cat. Secretary birds patrol the grasslands in constant search of snakes, rodents, and insects. African harrier hawks have a unique way of hunting for insects. They patrol in areas where there are stands of dead trees. Their snake-like necks are suited to explore behind dead bark. They hang on to the tree with their beak as they use powerful legs and claws to pry away the bark and use their huge wings to keep balance. Tawny eagles and steppe eagles look similar, but the larger steppe eagle weighs in at just under 11 pounds. Here, a steppe eagle uses its powerful beak and neck to rearrange an entire wildebeest kill. What are the factors that go into the making of dynamic storytelling bird images?
I try to avoid taking birds that are high in trees because the angle is awkward. It's just you're looking right up at them and they're looking down their nose at you. So I prefer when I see a raptor at eye level, I just, I grab the driver and sort of, signal that we need to stop without screaming because you don't want to scare the bird. But when you can look dead on in the eye of a raptor, it's more intimidating for the viewer when they see that photo.
East Africa is a land of superlatives. Here lives the largest of all birds, the ostrich, the smallest raptor, the pygmy falcon, Africa's heaviest raptor with the largest wingspan, the martial eagle, the aptly named Goliath heron, the tallest of all wading birds, and the greatest diversity of vulture species, including Ruppel's griffon vulture, lappet-faced vulture, the uncommon Egyptian vulture, hooded vulture, white-backed vulture, palm nut vulture, and the multicolored white-headed vulture. People say the lilac-breasted roller is the most beautiful bird. So, statistically, there must be a most beautiful roller, whether it's breeding plumage, just after a rain, the perch, or the quality of light. So in the world of infinite improbabilities, there has to be a least attractive lilac-breasted roller. Here is our chance to have a bird's eye view and the opportunity to enjoy some of the birds of East Africa's most dynamic behaviors. Elephants share news with the most delicate touching of trunks. A lioness calls for her cubs. Vero's eagle owls call to each other, welcoming the night. A rose-breasted longclaw and capped larks sing to welcome in the new day. A black-bellied bustard has a well-orchestrated call to attract a mate. the diminutive three-banded plover calls to its mate. There's no doubt why it's called the Hadada ibis. Bird calls echo across the plains, lakes, and woodlands. Burfowl call in the evening for the same reason there is a dawn chorus at sunrise. What is the importance of communication to the survival of the family, the pack, or the flock that has allowed them to survive for millennia? How vital is it for us to relearn those communication skills and to have the human species reconnect with the natural world for the survival of all?
And think how these wild creatures have so much in common with each other and with us. Through Todd's lens, we see a vanishing natural world. We can see a world we have the power to protect. If we, of all creatures, can best understand consequences and plan far ahead, then let us do so.
I choose to use my photography to stand with nature, our delicate planet, and the wildlife that are shown in this documentary.
To the ends of the earth is sharing the earth's beauty to illustrate exactly what is at stake. Imagine a world without elephants, lions, giraffes, and those are just the obvious animals at risk. Collectively, these images explore different aspects of the animal's behavior, a visual commentary on what it means to be born free into the last wild places.